The secret to having a life filled with joy, meaning, and fulfillment is meticulously cutting out the things that don't supply those. But we haven't been given the tools to cultivate meaningful lives. We've been conditioned to not be a problem. Most of us live lives that don't require us to truly think for ourselves by design. We were guided through an education system that gave us excellence for reproducing, not creating, to follow authority figures who knew better, not to slowly chip away at obstacles and develop our tolerance for failure and change. And that's why when you look around, the majority of people's lives seem like an uninspiring grind, waking up outside of hours that feel natural to them, forcing themselves to offices to do work that deplete their spirit for more than half of their waking life. And despite this being the lived experience of most people, it never changes because we've been conditioned to believe that saying no to what society has created for us is the same as being a burden. But no is the foundation of the creative process, and the creative process is how you create a life you love. In any creative endeavor, we're saying no to the old way of being and to the things that don't fit into whatever we're trying to craft. But most people never learn this type of life design because society's role isn't to give our lives a sense of meaning. It's to efficiently get people to contribute to its continued operation. It wasn't until I stepped outside of my society and lived in Japan, which did not consider me a member of its wider society, so no one cared to correct me with societal norms, and further cultural isolation by being the only Trinidadian in a place of 500,000 plus people, that I had enough mental clarity and space to explore the creative process and learn that the same process applied to creating a life, and I could only create that to the extent I was able to say no. Focus on what you don't want and say no to those things. The things you tolerate in your life determine the life you'll tolerate. A life that is cluttered with unsatisfying people and experiences that isn't working to curate higher quality people and higher quality experiences will persist. If you hate waking up early to go to work, and you tolerate it enough to not actively work to change it, then you'll perpetually wake up early to go to work, suffering in silence while constantly wishing things were different. If your relationship partner isn't meeting your needs and you persist in the relationship, you'll continue to have unmet needs, which leads to a persistent emotional turmoil. And if you continue to give these spiritually numbing agents access in your life, you won't be able to train your brain to detect and pursue opportunities that are intellectually, spiritually, emotionally energizing, and you'll continue to let mundane things clutter your life. The things we choose to say no to are the data we use to curate the lives we want. To gather that data, we have to focus on the things we don't want in our current lives. You can start with a life audit, and I'll go more deeply into that in my newsletter, which is linked below. But the basics of it is this: find the things that have created persistent negative emotions over the past month and write those down. Has it been a loss of enthusiasm with your work, your lack of financial progress, or you found that you've repeated a pattern of self-sabotage in relationships? Write these down, then explore them individually for the data you'll use. If your work has been a source of persistent negative emotion, why? Is it because you don't feel respected by your manager, or do you not feel creatively fulfilled doing what you're doing? Just continue to dig deeper into each until you get to the reasons behind why you've been experiencing the persistent negative emotion. The answers from this will begin to show you opportunities for achievable lifestyles that exclude the things you don't want. So if you don't feel creatively fulfilled in your job, then all jobs that are not creatively fulfilling are off of the table. But that also means that all jobs that can be potentially creatively fulfilling are now possible options. Say no to things you can't win at. At the start of the creative process, all of the possibilities are not achievable. And if you really care about creating a life you love and not just daydreaming, then it's really important that your brain be able to rationalize that what you're pursuing is both possible and likely to happen. Because the cost of not grounding yourself in reality is that your brain can't connect the dots between where you want to be and where you are. and you start to seek comfort in the mundane again because it feels real. Anything that is too far removed from your current life circumstances, available time, familial status, and resources available is unlikely to materialize. It just is what it is. The fastest and clearest way I've ever seen anyone cut through these possibilities is an exercise by Stanford professors called the multiverse exercise. You imagine that there are infinite universes, and in each of these universes, you can have one dream life. So for example, in one universe, you can be a famous poet and live that romantic, starving artist type life. In another universe, you can be a wealthy, married pilot. And in the next universe, you can be a world-renowned scientist. How many lives would you have? This is casting multiple visions for your life and pinpoints the things you're already interested in enough to pursue for long periods of time. And that accesses your internal motivation, because interest is one of the most energizing emotions. Of these visions, we need to place limitations around what we don't want to give up, then filter out what's unlikely to happen. Define the things you're absolutely unwilling to give up. If you have a family, maybe time with your kids. I chose to say no to poverty and location restrictions. Then begin filtering your opportunities based on how many people have manifested this and how much of it was in their control. If you fantasize about being a famous world touring singer, but your family is a non-negotiable to you, then it has failed the filter, and we go down a step to a non-world touring singer, which then passes that particular filter. And you should have multiple of these filters, because that will inspire creativity, and the creativity will bring more possibilities to you. The opportunities that have passed your filters should then be explored in real-world scenarios. How many people started from nothing and were able to create the life that you're going in pursuit of? And if finances are important to you, what skills do you learn along the way? Because the skills that you learn along the way are going to become the safety net. For example, if someone pursues singing and mixes their own audio, then other opportunities open up to them as an audio engineer in the event that they don't make it as a singer. And they have a lot more opportunities, because audio engineers can work at radio stations, at podcasts, with musicians, open their own studio, or freelance. Because at the end of the day, nothing is guaranteed, but this is much more aligned to your ideal life. That's the reason I decided to become a director, despite having other dreams of being a rapper or a writer. The tools I learned along the way of learning to become a director are valuable, and independently I can sell those skills to maintain my life in the event that I never end up becoming a director. Say no to obstacles. A side effect of certainty is obstacles. A vision brings specificity, and specificity brings challenges. This is a good thing. Your reduction of choices down to a specific outcome allows the world to present problems to you that, if solved, will allow you to become the type of person that can achieve the outcome you want. The obstacles aren't blocking the path, they are the path. As you overcome each obstacle, you're paying the price of ignorance. You're currently ignorant of what is required to live the life you want. Otherwise, you'd already have it. But where most people get this wrong is that they don't look at an obstacle as an opportunity to pay off ignorance. Instead, they see it as a reason to find an easier path. But if you're constantly collecting and extracting the information that the obstacle is there to provide to you, you're constantly learning new skills and new character traits that will ultimately result in you being the type of person that can have the life you want. I'll get further into this in a next video, but if you have any questions, leave it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, I think you'll enjoy this one over here. Thanks for watching.